hello everyone, and welcome to Magus
of the League.
So I'm Lee Bond, and this is my co-host Chris York.
Hello.
Fallen Perun, Avison, Fallen Angel.
Yeah.
Fallen from the ranks. I don't know how many fallen more as a drop. Dead fallen as from card from
Dead dropped.
Dead drop.
Dead dropped.
There you go. Dead dropped.
Yeah.
And Perun of Celestia, ex-Perun of Celestia.
That's correct, yeah.
And this is a video podcast where we talk about Magic League as a format.
Yep.
League being a 60-card sealed format lasting 5 to 8 weeks, where you add a single pack from the standard format or the format that you're playing every time you lose a match until you are finally eliminated, or you make it to the glorious new paradise of Top 8 and the Mega Draft. Yeah, Mega Draft. So let's get started. Jump in right in.
Well, on the top of Pops here, we have breaking news.
Yeah.
Breaking League news for Guilds of Ravnica. Our own Lee Bond is now the top seed of all the players. Of all the 26 players in the tournament, he is now
Number one. Which was immediately short-lived, because by the time we recorded this podcast, I am no longer... well, maybe.
Yeah.
But unlikely.
Well, this is a bit of a change of fortunes, because when we started this podcast, I was sitting pretty. I was the Perun of my guild. You were down there battling in the trenches, not feeling very secure about your future.
Yeah. And then now I'm battling my way up to a point where I let myself get a sense of security.
Yeah.
And then... So you were talking about it today, your plan of lulling people into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
I think you did it for me, just not when I'm playing you.
Right.
So.
Well, I feel like this podcast, it's like a video documentary of my descent into defeat and madness. Yeah. Basically, my hair's getting longer and shaggier with each,
So you're currently in hiding, right? Which is going to bring up some interesting discussion.
Yes, some interesting strategy discussion. Yeah. So I took my 10th loss earlier this afternoon, which means that I'm on the brink of elimination. I take one more loss and I'm out of the tournament. This is one of those videos that they release, like you're being held hostage and like, I've only got one more loss to take and then it's over. And so as a result, I've played enough to not have to play for the rest of the week. So I banked... I guess I banked 2 matches more than I needed. So I can hide out for the rest of this week. Next week I'll be forced to play again and forced to win 2 matches in a row or I'll be done.
So let's put a pin in that, because it's going to make for an interesting strategic discussion there, and finish up our league news.
Sure. Yeah.
So 4 more players bit the dust this week.
Yep.
Only 17 players left, and these are hard eliminations, no drops.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Meaningful
fights to the ground,
Yep.
Usually it starts about week 5. We had said that this week is going to be top heavy. I don't think there'll be any eliminations this week. Like, we might see 1 or 2.
Okay.
But I think the way the league has been playing out, this is going to be a stagnant, and then there'll be a week of hiding next week, and then 7 is going to be the bloodbath. Like, we always have what we call the bloodbath week, like blood in the water.
Everybody's going down.
No Country for Old Men, Western movies,
The final act.
The final act,
before
before the mega draft. And I think 7 is going to be us for us.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah. Okay. So, and by the time this podcast came out, it might be launch day for Caos League.
That's correct.
Which we've been talking about for a couple of weeks now on the podcast. So Caos League being different, as I mentioned in the intro, you can basically league with any format. Caos League is similar to the Chaos Draft format or a Chaos Sealed format.
Chaos Sealed, yeah.
The packs have been built. We saw previews while we were cubing this week.
Yeah, our own Rob Anderson has put together some beautiful packages of some weird old sets. He put them together in nice little cardboard boxes with Chaos League written on the outside, and he teased us essentially with some beautiful images.
There was some spice in those packs.
Some weird ones like Judgment,
Mercadian Masks,
and some weird ones like Conspiracy. So those are.
How come that happened? I thought we were excluding Conspiracy prior to the.
Well, I think that overall it's a win, because Conspiracy is like Master's Light, a bit like Battle Bond. Like there's some good old spicy cards in there. And plus, there's only one card you can't use. That's the Conspiracy, and it takes the basic land slot.
Yeah.
So you're not getting any fewer cards.
Yeah, that's correct.
And there's one card per pack that also cares about draft, but if you can still use it, it's still vintage legal. But because all the draft parts are excluded, for the most part, it's like a vanilla creature.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And I don't think there are that many rare interactions at that level, right?
No, there's very few.
Okay.
There's very few.
I mean, it wouldn't be Chaos League without a little bit of craziness, right?
Yeah, and I feel like, there's some strength in those packs.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think we had talked about this a little bit last time. When it comes to my strategy, because it's official, I'm joining Chaos League. I've been hesitant, but I'm putting it on record. I'm going in.
Welcome.
My strategy, because I am not a veteran, long-time player, and I definitely don't keep packs that often. So going and delving into Masters packs or old packs.
I see a couple back there.
Yeah, that's all the current standard set, you know?
Okay.
It's not opportunistic for me. So people, like, this is a little tidbit. I've been doing my research, and some of the newer players who want to get in on this and don't know where to start, opening both Conspiracy packs and Battle Bond will not set you back at all. They're pretty much at the same current rate as a standard pack because of the multiplayer format. They're not that sought after.
Right.
And there's some high power cards in there. And
if you ever end up also, I mean, it's supported. You can do multiplayer matches in League. So if you ever want to do that, then your Battle Bond, your Conspiracy packs really pay off.
Yeah.
So if you can somehow trick people into playing multiplayer in Chaos League, then that'll give you the edge. Probably.
It could happen. But I think as a general rule, you know, you're going to want to slot in if you're operating on a budget. You know, depending what you get. I think Dom is also a really safe bet in that terms.
Yeah. Oh man, though, I've had some real stinkers. I've got bad luck with Dominaria.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I always get underpowered packs. I never feel like it has, like, I know that has the potential to have, like, bomb legendary, you know, bomb rares, and really solid commons, but it never seems to come together for me.
And I might be mistaken, but this is also a kind of a little tidbit, but I believe Fate Reforged was the set with delve mechanics, right? So it's either Fate Reforged or it's Cons.
I think it's Cons? I want to say Cons.
Okay. So it could be one of those two, but both of those right now are really low packs.
Yep.
Also, Yugen
they're
is
cheap,
in there. Yeah, they're cheap. Yeah. And the delve mechanics like Treasure Cruise, Gurmag Angler.
And that's all playable.
All playable, and they're busted. Like that, a lot of the...
Treasure Cruise are common, right?
Yeah. A lot of the current...
Enjoy that.
A lot of the current popper formats and modern decks manage around those cards. So,
But all that broken stuff is happening in the... mostly in the blue and black. A little bit in green. So if you're not playing Sultai colors, then maybe that's not where you want to go first.
No, but there are some other mechanics in there, like the Mardu colors, the red, white, like the raid charge. Yeah, there's some busted mechanics. That set was pretty crazy.
You could go Ixalan and, you know, Mardu together. Yeah, you know, kind of raid flavored decks. So, I don't know. Yeah,
just kind of like a little trick for the new players. Like going back, like even Shadows Ever Innistrad, there's some power level there too.
And that's cheap. That's basically standard.
Exactly.
Price.
Like, because they just rotated out of the standard, they're kind of low. And that's probably where I'm going to be looking too. BFZ, you know.
Well, there was some BFZ advertised in the pile as well, so there'll be some of that. Yeah. That block will be floating around. Although Devoid doesn't really play nice with other sets.
No, but, you know, if you open an Ulamog's Crusher at Uncommon, you know, that's a pretty brutal card. Okay, so moving on to that, super hyped about Chaos League.
Yeah, the buzz is really good. We're expecting over 20 players, looking at closer to 30.
Yeah, this is pulling out a lot of the Commander and Legacy players who don't really take an interest into League usually. And they're like, this format sounds spicy. I know we even tempted over one of the store clerks from the store that shall not be named.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the guy we ran into at Burger King.
No kidding.
Yeah. He's signing up to Chaos League. He wants to study our format and learn it. Okay. Take it back to the dark side, you know?
Interesting.
So
that's very interesting. Okay, so that's promising.
Yeah.
At the same time, we should say this isn't all roses. Because our standard sets they're more new player friendly. There have been a couple of new players who said to me, I don't think I can do that, because they don't have the pack resources of older players, because they don't want to have to be pushed into buying master sets, because that's going to be the dominant strategy. Yeah. You know, you buy your master sets first, you get your pool built, just stacked up, and then you start to go to lower powered sets afterwards. So I think this has it's more of an advanced or you know how the Magic packs used to have the beginner, advanced, and expert. This is more like an expert league, I think. Although it's also it can be fun for new players. You don't think so? Okay.
So I'm coming from that perspective, and I want to give as much insight to new players as it is to really get them on board. And my feeling is it's kind of like Commander in the sense that I built 6 or 7 Commander decks in the last 6 months. Okay. I went crazy.
Yeah.
you don't have to jam Masters level and Eternal level and Legacy level cards to have an impact. Now, don't get me wrong. They will have a huge impact on your win percentage. Mm-hmm. However, you know, a counterspell is always good. Card removal is always good. Burn is always good. What you want to be looking for is low value packs where you can pull that stuff and really kind of like maximize. And the other thing too, we kind of talked about this last time for the current league in terms of standard is, you know, with a league like Chaos League where you have all these packs from different sides, you know, your answers might not necessarily line up with my threats.
True.
So pulling out stuff from threats where people are going to be unexpected. Yeah. You know, you pull out that big ass Eldrazi that the guy can't remove, or that because it's a legendary Eldrazi, colorless, there's a ton of stuff that doesn't hit on it. You're protecting it with a dive down from Ixalan, hexproof from Kaladesh, you know, these kind of threats, you know, Blossoming Defects, Heroic Intervention, those are cards that were so strong in standard before. Yeah. And they're not gone, you know, and people not being able to deal with a 1 mana protect your creature is what's going to cost them games. So there's ways to build and things to look at it that I think you can really do it on a budget and be impactful. So
I agree with you. I think you can definitely you can be smart, you can be scrappy, and you can make a deck that's as good as, you know, the rich kids who are just going to go for the lazy route and just add Masters Pack. So I agree. I think but you have to you got to study hard. Yeah. To keep up, I think, in that case. You really want to, you know, look at your opening pool carefully and see where you're going to go. And by the way, in week 3, if you are one of those kids who likes to spend their allowance on wildly expensive packs, Ultimate Masters will be coming out in the 3rd week of Chaos League. So you can add that.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're interested in going that route.
Okay, cool. Yep. Sounds good. That kind of leads us into our first league strategic discussion for this week.
Sure. Hiding out?
No. We'll get to hiding out. But the one that I wanted to talk about this week was because I was watching GP Milwaukee, and we just had the Pro Tour kind of come up. And it's this concept of ceiling.
Okay.
So, especially in League, it's impactful. But playing cards that have a very high ceiling versus punishing you when they're bad. You know what I mean? As an example, I don't want to use the one that I always use, but Helm of the Host. You know? That card, if it resolves and it sticks, it's unbeatable. Yeah. You can put it on a freaking Burglar Rats, and every turn your opponent's discarding and you're making a 1/1 that can chump, and a 1/1 can chump, and a 1/1 can chump. The ceiling is so high. Yeah. And the punish is artifact removal. You're paying 5 mana for it, 4 mana to equip. 4 mana for it, 5 to equip. It's very mana demanding. Yep. And the punish is you go for equip, destroy the artifact, you basically time walk yourself for 2 turns, you know, but the ceiling is so high. So where do you draw the line? And in League, do you go for these high ceiling power cards, or do you try and build a constructed kind of stable?
I think you definitely do, because people are sleeping on artifact and enchantment destruction. I don't think it's rated very highly, but you have these threats that you talked about, like Experimental Frenzy. You have the white Divine Visitation.
Oh yeah, Divine Visitation.
You also have the Dawn of Hope. All these are just killer enchantments that can really change the face of the game with very little else going on. And so I think people are sleeping on their disenchants. And you can take advantage of that very easily.
Yeah. But I don't necessarily mean just on the disenchants, you know? So as another example, if you open M19, say you were to get a Tezzeret, right? Mm-hmm. Now, in the current format, which is seeming to be pretty aggressive in control, you know, Tezzeret might not seem like the best card. However, the ceiling on Tezzeret is so high that if you can 5-drop them in the right situation, you're automatically going to win the game.
Sure.
You know?
Just dumping out Thopters.
Planeswalkers are kind of like, usually that's the way to go. Some are stronger than others, but like, even the current Black Liliana in the right deck might see a high enough ceiling that it's worth playing. You know? Mm-hmm. Creatures, like, if you go to Ixalan, I'm sure you're ending up with maybe one of those primal dinosaurs, you know?
Maybe.
Some of them aren't necessarily the crazy bombs that Itali always is. You know, Itali, always playable. However, Awakening Sun's Avatar is still a board wrath on a stick. Mm-hmm. You know, the ceiling value for it is incredibly high, even when it's played on its own.
Cost 8, right?
Yeah, cost 8. So you're not always going to get there. It's going to be a dead card. However, the payoff is so big, you're basically winning the game just playing it. So
I think you've answered your own question.
I don't know. I was hoping you'd have a counter perspective to it, because I know that a lot of people want more of a consistency level. You know, they'll toss aside their high end bombs for something that looks like a little bit better in their curve.
Well, that was the Koffler strategy that led him to dominate for so long, right? It's like if you had like a sort of high-end luxury sports car. You just cut the doors off, you cut the trunk off, you just grind everything down and make it as sleek as possible. It's not pretty, you're leaving out the bells and the whistles that make it what it is, but it's effective in going faster. And I think that's exactly how he got to where he is. Is that strategy still effective now? Probably. And I mean, I was running a Boros with a splash. Is it just for that power? And I feel like a lot of times I messed up my mana base and it wasn't as consistent. And I lost games because I wasn't obeying that very simple rule, the one that I preach always, which is go 2 colors as soon as you can and stay there.
The 2 colors has been difficult though. Mm-hmm. And the
temptation is there.
This is actually playing into it. So, what I found is I will go beyond splashing. I will aggressively put cards in my deck that have a high ceiling just because when I resolve them, my game's plan is like immediately dominate. So at an uncommon level, Conclave Cavalier. Now I'm playing a Boros build, or I was, that took me up to the top seed, and it was incredibly aggressive. Playing a Conclave Cavalier might have been really greedy. However, every time I resolved it, I almost immediately won the game. Because a 4/4 vigilance that requires 2 to 3 removal, you know, your card advantage is ridiculous. It lines up perfectly with pretty much everything that Dimir is throwing at you.
Yep.
It's a beast in a back. It's crazy.
Yep.
So that kind of ceiling made it to me that it's like, look, there's going to be times when this card is dead in my hand, that I'm going to be playing red, white, green, and I'm just going to be like, I wish I had that extra white mana. However, every time I curved out and dropped it on turn 4, I was like, good game. You know, like, it's unbelievable. So, there again, you know, it's a weight balance issue, and it's been nigh impossible for me to cut down to 2 colors for that exact reason. I have too much good in one color or another to pull me into one specific.
I feel like this is a live debate. I mean, this is definitely a live debate. There are people who just say, yeah, just cut your bombs if they're too expensive or if they're too mana intensive in colors you're not running as your mains. And they do great. And there's people like you who are greedier with their mana bases, and they do great. There's no right answer here. I think there's no like black and white answer. But I do think that, you know, through experimenting, you can tell if the results will bear out whether you're being greedy or not.
That's
essentially.
Fair.
Right.
That's fair. And they will this week.
Well,
they punish me this week.
As you're saying, maybe the odds are starting to catch up with you.
Yeah.
You can get away with it for so long, but then, you know, the numbers start to pile up.
Although, in my most recent pack, which we can talk about after, I think the key piece to greed... Actually, let's talk about it now. The key piece to greed in my most recent pack might have pulled it off, which is why I think my rebuild wasn't that insanely different.
Okay.
So in this pack, I opened Rix, and I opened a Traveler's Amulet and an Evolving Wilds in the same pack. Yeah. So at both common level, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Now my greed pays off because my turn 1 play is fix my mana base, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's
every time.
Every single time. You know, it's 2 cards, makes all the difference, but if I hit that card earlier, it just gives me one more turn that I can curve into that thing. And, you know, the amulet is a little bit slower than the Evolving Wilds, unfortunately. However, knowing what I have in hand, I can play to it. I can maybe, like, if I know that I'm going to 1-drop into 2-drop, I can play to it on turn 3 and just go get it immediately. Yeah. There's ways around it. But I think if you're going to do the greed train, it's still doable. You need a lot of fixing. And Guilds provides that. But I was actually surprised. Ixalan has a lot of fixing in it. A lot.
Yep. It really does.
Like Thunderherd Migration. We're talking, there's a couple of other ones. Search. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. Yeah. There's the Dryad that lets you untap lands. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of fixing in that set.
Agreed. And people snub it.
They snub it.
Because they think, oh, it's just tribal. It's just tribal. I'll never find a valuable card in there. I'll never find a usable bomb. But there are big bombs and there are the little bread and butter cards that make your deck run smoother overall.
Yeah, it's true. So that was our first topic. Let's talk. Let's pull the pin out of it.
Okay.
Let's talk about hiding.
Hiding.
So
important skill, as it turns out.
As it turns out. So
I feel like I should have come in camo for this part.
I think the argument is maybe you're hiding too soon, bud.
Really?
Yeah. So here's the thing.
All right.
Let's look at the scale of this. In this current league, and for any other league, you have to evaluate at what point the league is going to be ending, right?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it ends in week 7. That's why I think hiding out week 6 isn't such a bad thing.
That's true. However, what are the odds of this one ending at week 7?
I don't know.
0.
0, you
There's
say?
There's a 0 chance because there's at least 10 players who can't face elimination this week.
So you're saying that after this podcast, I should go next door, face Tony.
Well, I did line him up for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he said he'd be willing to if you would. So, what I'm saying is...
I think there's a noose that I'm kind of easing myself into.
I'm going to let you fight your own battles and make your own decisions because I've seen you bait people at the Dunkin' Donuts more than one. You're smart enough not to fall for it.
Yeah.
However, I will say this.
Yeah.
I've had the talk with Tony in last league where he was facing a similar situation. And I was like, look, bud, if you want to fight your way back, here's how you do it.
You got to fight now.
You got to fight now and you got to keep fighting. Yep. Because the thing is like, when you get to the week where you want to hide, it's the week where either everybody's hiding or the week where everybody's facing elimination, right? Because if you can hide the week that everybody's facing elimination, then you're golden, you're guaranteed. Right. If you got to hide the week that everybody's hiding, then you know you're coming back and you're fighting the good fight. However, if you're hiding the week before all that, you could just get starved out next week, you know? And everybody
No.
Well,
I won't get starved out.
I won't get starved out.
The best players will be waiting at the club for the desperate, the people on the very edge. I've seen this before. We call it, the crocodile by the river.
Yeah.
Essentially, you get the best players hanging out there Friday afternoon, and they know that the very timid prey animals will come there just before the 9 o'clock deadline looking for a match, and then they take them under. Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy.
Well, so maybe you got to fight the good fight.
Maybe I got to fight now.
Because the other thing, too, is, when you're looking at it from this perspective, every win that you get takes you one step closer to that victory,
That's right. If I can make it to week 8, then that's gravy.
But every match that you don't take that someone else takes is another pack in their pool. It's going to make it difficult because you're not at this point. Your deck is not going to get any better than it is. So you may want to do a quick rebuild, really evaluate everything that you can, but if your deck is at the best it's going to be, now's the time to be fighting with it, because that's the logic.
You're right.
But you can do what you want to do.
But I've had this swing back, and I've had it hit me before.
Yeah.
Remember the Gort's dilemma that I wrote about?
No, that was different. You could have hidden, and then you took a game with someone out of courtesy. That's different. That's a different situation. That's exactly, you fought the good fight. You put yourself in the situation where you could coast through to the top 8, and out of mercy for someone who was going to take attrition and get pushed out, you threw yourself under the bus.
You think that was a noble thing?
It was noble, no doubt. Was it dumb? Maybe. Was it stupid? There's nobody. Maybe.
We asked the tough questions here on Magus of the League.
Just saying. No disrespect to Chris. I'm sure he deserved that spot after beating you, but you didn't have to throw him that.
It's true. Maybe
part of the strategy of the league is people will eventually take attrition if it gets to a point. There is the possibility that in a week where there's 9 players and the 8 players have maxed out, that the other player can be like, I'm going to have to take attrition because no one will play me. No one is willing to give up their spot and they'll push them out. And one of those top players might try and take him for a point, just for the point differentiation.
Yep.
But if all 8 players were in a situation where they're facing elimination, like it was a really tight league, which could be the case this time around.
We don't know.
You don't know. But that person could be facing attrition, And at that point, it might be just a point where the guy just like, okay, no one's going to play me. I drop and then we close the week early. It could happen. So I think that's one of the aspects of the league. It's what you're getting into, and that's why everybody always tries to play forward if they're smart. You know.
Yeah.
So it's thing, man. I don't know if I'm going to talk you out of hiding on this podcast, but I'm definitely going to talk you into rebuilding on this podcast. So
agreed. All right. Moving on from my own personal, quite upsetting situation.
Okay.
Yep.
So what do we have next on the list today? We're midway through.
Yep.
We've been talking a lot about rebuilds, switching colors.
It's week 6 now, so switching colors. I feel like by now, if you don't have a handle on what colors are the strongest, like me, and you keep flip-flopping between two subpar decks, you're lost. You're lost in the league. And here's the frustrating thing for me at this point in the league. Okay, let's go back to my situation.
Yeah. Pull out. Oh, no, let's go
zoom
back.
in, zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out. Yeah. It's bad editing. But here's the thing. Mm-hmm. I have tried nearly every permutation of colors. I've tried Orzhov. I've tried Cynic. I've tried the 5 guilds.
Yeah.
And I've tried 3 color builds. I tried to build a wall deck with that Elder Dragon. Arcades.
Sabbath. Yeah.
Because I opened that.
You know, when we suggested that to you, that was a joke.
Yeah. Oh, I tried it. It sucked. Everything I seem like, there's some pools where it's just so darn clear.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to Hour of Devastation. I opened 5 of the 6 red rares on opening day, on day 1.
And you were like, oh, I'm playing red.
I'm playing red.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the league was so easy.
Yeah.
I was like, win. Don't have to think too hard. Don't have to wring my hands and what's the next move? No, just just put it in cruise and just coast to the finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Now this one is the exact opposite kind of pool. Mm-hmm. Nothing was clear. I got 3 rares in every color.
Yeah.
And there's no two combinations which are really definitely stronger than any other.
Yeah.
And so it just comes down to play feel, I guess.
I think what you got to look at, and this is where I've been coming from. Like I said, this was my thing. It's your mid range that's going to settle it for you.
Okay.
So my thing is, I have an incredibly powerful black pool right now. I have a Ritual Soot, a Doom Whisperer, 4 Deadweights, 3 Tidy Conclusions, and I just opened the equivalent of Tidy Conclusion in Ixalan, the black one.
Yeah, I gives you 2 treasures.
Exactly.
Yeah. Deadly Visit?
No, Deadly Visit is this one. Tidy Conclusion is the one from Ixalan. Okay. That's what I was saying. So, exactly. So, you would say, oh, Lee, why aren't you in black? Well, here's the problem. All I have in the black range is 2 Pilfering Imps. I have 1 of the Scarabs. I have 1 Pitiless Gorgon.
Creature Light.
And I have 2 Dousers of Light. Yeah, super Creature Light. And the complement decks to those are Golgari and Dimir and Izzet, and I couldn't find the pieces to fill that 2-drop to 4-drop slot. So I had to look, and I was like, well, where can I do it? I can do it Izzet, I can do it Celestia, I can do it Boros.
Did that determine what set you opened, though?
No. So here's what determined what set I opened. I opened 5 packs of GRN because I had 5 packs of GRN from prize pools.
Well played.
And then I got to a point where I was on a losing streak. This was back before I crushed my thing. And I said, you know what? I have 5 losses before I'm out. I'm taking the Planeswalker Challenge.
Right.
So I decided to take the Planeswalker Challenge.
Best thing you ever did.
Yeah. So far.
Yeah.
Pre-bought my 5 packs and then went 3 weeks without opening a single pack. And this week I opened 2. So I opened Rick's. It seems to be decent.
It's a very strong set.
Very strong set.
The small sets, they put all the power in there. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. It seems I only pulled 5 playable cards from both packs.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Because at that point, your deck is pretty much built. You're not starting from scratch.
Right. So if you can add 5
the thing is,
at this stage of the game.
There was some dilemmas. There was some cards that I was like, should I run this? Should I not? The other thing too, and I guess we could start, this will kind of lead into our play of the week that I'd like to talk about.
Sure.
I'm really starting to, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about was stat swapping. Right?
Right.
So I have about a 25 card sideboard right now of creatures that fit into the same slots as my current deck, where one of the things that I started to realize is, and I was listening to another podcast talk about this, and it's like, if someone's playing Dimir, and they drop the 2/3, Darkblade Agent.
Yeah.
And you're playing a 2/2 First Strike, Stalwart Steward, or whatever, that's gonna brick your card immediately. You're not gonna be able to get through it unless you have a pump spell, or removal, or whatever. If you don't have those answers, you're screwed, So, in a situation like that, and you realize that he has more Darkblade Agents than you have that, and all your 2/2s aren't lining up, swapping out cards that line up for better stats, you might be better off playing a 3-drop 3/3 vanilla, or a 2-drop 3/3 vanilla if you could find that card, Watch Wolf, if that was busted. But it's better sometimes to reassess what you're playing. So, as an example, the 1/4 Dimir Agent.
If you see a Watch Wolf in somebody's pool, they're cheating.
Yeah, report them.
Report them.
Committee,
but yeah.
So if you're playing against the 1/4 Dimir agent as a Boros player, that's a brick wall on turn 3 most of the time, right? Because most of your 3/3s line up. You can't mentor past 3. Gets really annoying playing her in. Swapping in a 4/4 vanilla or a Convoke 4/4 Vigilance Centaur, Rosemade Centaur,
right,
gives you that advantage that if on turn 3 you see this coming, slap down, all of a sudden his creature doesn't line up with yours. You know, he's chumping to you.
Yep.
So in limited play, stat swapping is a real deal thing. You know, sometimes you just want a 3/3 vanilla to line up with their 1/3 or their 2/3 that's bricking you every other game. This time around, one of my lineups has been, as an example, it didn't work out for me today, but prior to playing my game with Jules in Dimir, after playing a game in Celestia with Dave, I swapped all of my Skyward Scouts, the Skyrider Scouts, the ones that the 2-drop 2/1 that flies, for Ornery Goblins, because Ornery Goblins lines up with everything in Dimir. Everything that has 3 health, the Darkblade Agent, the Hexproof Flyer, like everything. Like, so I was like, but flying doesn't line up well with Dimir. You know, like if they put down one of their flying blockers, you're screwed. You have no thing. So that's kind of an example in that regard. Yeah. So, these rebuilds now, you know, you can think about what's your lineup? You know, what's lining up? What's your curve? It's not just about curve out, bam, bam, bam anymore. It's like, what's the other guy playing at me? What's he throwing at me? If it's all 0/5s, missed, wall of missed, well, maybe I need to swap out for all flyers, even if they're 1-drop 1/1 flyers, you know?
Yeah, so now you're at a point where we've had some experience with the format. Yeah. You can begin to sort of tap into your knowledge of how each guild plays out. Yeah. And leverage that to your advantage. Yeah. Which is what I haven't been doing.
At all. So.
But in terms of, like, let's say, for the average player, you're talking about a lot of abstract things. How do you do this in practice? So how do you make a sort of big cognitive map of the format?
Okay, let me just take a look at the time here before we go into the whole.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so we're running about 30 minutes. So before we jump into the player of the week and the player profile, I'll do this in two seconds. This is my,
and then we'll go to our player profile. Yeah, and then we'll come back.
Yeah. So, the way I would round out the format is pretty simple. I would do it in a health basis, right? So the typical health for Boros is 2 and 3, right? 2 drops, Wojak Bodyguards, Skynet Riders, Parhelion Patrols. Those are your cards. For Dimir, it's 3 and 4. Darkblade Agents,
Dimir Informant,
Dimir Informant, the Night Veil Predator, Watchers in the Mist, etc. Sure. Golgari, all across the board, right? Starts at 1. Works its way up. Basically, the health is going to follow the curve. Yep. Celestia, that starts 3 to 5, right? So your general Celestia is going to be a 1/1 or a 2-drop, but then you're going to like Iron Shell Beetle to pump it. Yeah. You're going to convoke into a Rosemane Centaur. You're going to play the Peacekeeper Centaur, like those kinds of cards. So when you're lining up, and then is all over the place. A lot of the Cyclops have, it's generally a 3 or 4 health creature, but the 2/2s are kind of activators. But even like the Fire Elementals, a 1/3 for 2. The Drakes are 1/3.
Lots of big butts in the format.
Yeah, a lot of big butts. So when you're lining up your removal, you know, direct current against those guilds that I mentioned having bigger butts. Not necessarily where you want to be. So that's kind of something that you might consider substituting out for some evasion or just a pump or like something that will get you through those big butts, right? Where on the other side, if you're one of those big butt guys, you know, and you're realizing that you're getting smashed, maybe you want to look towards a lower curve answer, you know, like everybody should be playing as many deadweights as they can. But not necessarily against Dimir, right? Like, is deadweight good against Dimir? Probably not as good as it is against Boros. Right. So, that's the way I'd sum down the format. Look at the health factor between the 5 guilds and kind of pick and choose your creatures and your removal relating to that, right? And, you know, you can do that research online easily enough without playing people to know what to expect. As soon as you see that mountain island, you're like, okay, expect Electromancer, expect Drake, expect, you know, those kinds of things.
And this is from the fellow who's the top seed of the league, so it's worth listening to this advice. Yeah. And I think now we're going to break it down for a player profile. Yeah. This week we're going to feature Richard Koffler, otherwise known as Niv Richard, your former Perun.
Yeah, I've been making the joke that I'm Lee Zarek now. I used to be Sahil Lee, now I'm Lee Zarek, because I usurped his throne for not too long to be smashed. So, but
So we'll cut to that?
Yeah, we'll cut to that.
So, who are you? And how long have you been playing League?
Well, my name is Richard Koffler, or better known in this league as Niv Richard. I've been playing since the beginning, actually. At least since it started at Face to Face.
That was Battle for Zendikar League.
Yeah, funny story about that. A few weeks before that, in August of that year, I met you for the first time at a draft across the street from Face to Face.
At that shop which will not be named?
Sure.
Yeah.
And there were 2 pods, and we each had a buy, and I'd never met you before, and you said, hey, you have a buy too, let's go grab something to eat. So, food being a primary motivation, I accepted your offer, and you started talking about starting a league, and you said, do you think this store would be interested in starting a league? And I said, if there's this local store interested, it's Face to Face. So go there, talk about it. You know, what you were telling me sounded weird, personally, but I said, okay, crazy guy with a crazy idea. And then a few weeks later, it happened. So I was more than happy to join up, since I like Limited, and it is based in Limited. So.
Yeah. All right, well, that's a great story. Let me ask you, which league did you have your best finish in? Since you've been there for 3 years now, you must have had some good finishes. What was your best finish?
Best one had to be the Battle Bond League, where me and my partner Justin Pigeon, we finished first. So
can't do better.
That was definitely the best finish I had. As far as solo finish, I think 3rd or 4th.
Okay.
Yeah, don't quite remember, but there's a running joke that I always finish. That I've always finished 5th, or frequently finished 5th.
You finished 5th 3 times, I think.
I'm trying to debunk that as of late. So last time I finished 4th in the M19 League, but I did finish 2nd in the top 8, but 4th overall.
Steady progress. So tell us about your favorite plays. Is there any play that you can remember that really stuck out as like, this could only happen in this weird format?
In any league, right?
Yeah, any league.
Basically, anytime I got to cast Pact of Negation in the M1 League, that was a delight.
Yeah, because no one saw that coming.
Oh yeah, like it's cool if you open it in a draft, you get to play for it for 3 hours. Me, I got to play Pact of Negation for 7 weeks. It was fantastic.
Did you feel like you were getting away with something you shouldn't have?
I mean,
every time you played it?
My opponent says, hey, the blue player's tapped out, time to resolve my Sandworm Convergence. Or time to resolve my 6/7 hexproof crocodile.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that was a delight. Any play that I got to cast a Pact of Negation was great.
As you know, I have my own story with opening masterpieces. I had the Sword of War and Peace, and I also felt like I was getting away with something every time I played it.
You seem to either draw that or a Trophy Mage every single game. It was.
They might have been in the same deck for a reason. Yeah. But all right, so in terms of your league experience overall, what's your favorite part of the experience? Like, is it the community? Is it the weird formats? Is it the trash talk online? What's your favorite part?
I mean, we were doing this well before we did trash talk online, so it's really just the community, meeting people, having something to do at the store. Okay. I really that's one of the things I enjoy about it. The interactions. This league we were having fun with the guilds, so that's just an added layer onto the fun that we're already having, without really changing all that much.
How about the future of League? How do you see it going in the future? Where do you hope it goes, or where do you want it to go, or what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm just glad to go along for the ride. I'm going to be joining the league as long as there's league, I'll be playing. At least that's the plan.
Yeah.
So hopefully get a first place finish in a solo league is my short-term goal.
An admirable goal.
So I'm trying.
Thank you very much, Richard, for your time.
No problem.
Final question: what's the worst beats you've ever put on Chris?
Ooh.
Hey
now.
Well, I think
it's a friendly interview up until now.
I think it's more the beats he puts on himself sometimes. Should I speak of this story?
He wants it.
All right.
Go for it.
So in the Masters 25 League, which was earlier this year, there was a play where he cast a Retraction Helix. I think I cast a fight spell of some kind to try and fight one of his creatures, a 3/1 flyer, and instead of Retraction Helixing my creature that was going to fight it, a Retraction Helix non-summoning creature, so he could bounce his own flyer back to his hand. And then I still got to attack him because his only other creature was tapped.
Yeah.
So, because the 3/1 flyer he played was summoning 6, so he couldn't target it with Retraction Helix. Yeah. So he targeted his other creature, which he tapped to bounce it. So there was Retraction Helix in his graveyard. my board was the same, and I got to attack him with my pumped creature.
Yeah.
So it was the beats he put on himself.
Not my proudest moment.
It makes it easy at that point.
Thanks, Richard.
Sure, anytime.
And we're back. Okay, so
Hope you enjoyed that look into League past, present, and future. He's Richard's quite a repository of
knowledge,
league stories, and he's definitely got some hot takes as well, and usually a very good performer. So
yeah. So going off from a player profile, the blowout of the week, the play of the week. This one. So
what's your pick?
This one for me. This was my pick.
Yeah.
It happened to me, as I mentioned.
Okay.
And this one goes out to Dave Young, who did this to me today.
And I'm hearing this for the first time.
Fresh.
Live on air.
For the first time. So one of the tactics in League is to build a second deck once your first deck is built.
Yeah.
But this, I think, was the best way I've ever seen it done.
Okay.
In the first matchup, he was playing his Bant Flyers Celestia hybrid that he's been playing since the beginning. That's been seeing him good success.
Yeah.
In the second, and I blew him out with experimental frenzy combo, same as I've done a million times.
Yep.
In the second matchup, which was the hardest matchup, he asked me after. He's like, "Did you notice the change?" And I was like, "No, I didn't. I noticed that you didn't play an island. Did you get screwed on blue?" He's like, "No, I took out every single blue card in my deck and went pure Celestia." You know, he's like, I was running pump
Celestia power.
Yeah, he's like, I was running pure pump spells against you. I was running bigger beaters. I was like that. He's like, I brick walled you because, you know, if I conclave into his conclave and he bumps, you know, it's trades in his advantage. And in terms of consistency, like he could see I started struggling on my mana base a little bit, and he utilized that leverage to be like, okay, every time I have an opening, bam, bam, bam. And the thing is like, it was really well done in the way that, you know,
I didn't see it coming.
One, because you know, turn one green, white, turn one. I'm playing the same deck against him right now. There's no differences whatsoever.
Yeah.
Two, my sideboard, I had sideboarded in a lot of, crushing canopies to remove his flyers. Now they weren't dead cards because he still had Parhelion patrols, hawks, other things. And he was still playing his white, luminous bonds and stuff to keep me. So they were still good. However, they now hit on I think 5 or 6 cards less. Like no more Watcher in the Mist, no more Drake, no more Murmuring Rustic Birds, like so much less. So my value had diminished in terms of those cards. Where before, just playing a 3-drop creature in the slot would have been better. So I didn't notice that fact. And it was a hard fought battle for sure. And I think I played my optimal line against him, but you could see the difference in terms of you know, as you mentioned, the two color consistency versus the 3 color. And the thing is I don't think that was necessarily the difference maker so much as when I was playing him, you know, my perspective, my builds, my thing was I'm coming at him playing against the same deck, and I wasn't playing the same deck, you know? I'm trying to race a guy who now has more aggression, pump spells, all that type of stuff. Maybe I should have been trading and picking off creatures, waiting for one of my outvalue cards, you know?
The real alpha thing too is that after taking you apart, he showed you how he took you apart.
Yeah.
That's
he was just I was interested to hear it. It was really funny to see he was you know, did you not notice that there was no more blue? And I was like, honestly, I didn't. I thought you might have just got screwed up. And in my mind, I'm getting there. He's screwed, blah, blah,
Which makes you feel confident.
And he just overconfident
me. Right? You might think every card in his hand, that's just a stranded blue card.
And
so all of a sudden you're playing as if he's handicated when actually
and I actually lost game 2, and he beat me in game 3 for the win. Yeah. And I lost game 2 because at a critical moment, I had an Ornery Goblin up and a Healer's Hawk. And I traded chumped blocked with the Healer's Hawk on a Conclave Cavalier, saying to myself, I want to go wide because I had a Bounty of Might in hand. And I'm like, the strategy... As always. And I'm like, I know what this guy is. I'm like, okay, I know what this guy is. I'm like, if I chump with the Healer's Hawk, gain a life, I'm ahead, I can race him, right? If I had thought about it and be like, he has no more blue. Half his flyers are gone. I should have chumped with the Ornery Goblin because that would have put a clock on him that he might not have been able to deal with.
Especially if you're gaining life with Bounty of Might on Healer's Hawk.
Well, the Bounty of Might was irrelevant because I never made that land.
Oh, okay.
But I did get him to 1 health that I couldn't push through, which means the Healer Hawk would have been relevant. So it was I chose my line because of the situation, and I was assuming that he was blue, and I thought it was one of the best executed swaps that I've seen. Like, I've seen people, advertise, they're like, here's my deck, put it away, boom, whole new deck, figure it out,
Yeah.
And if the guy's playing his initial...
The Johnny Mariani gambit.
The thing about that gambit is like, if the guy's playing his initially optimized deck, you're building a deck that's made probably from secondary cards, might not be your better deck, and you're playing it pre-sideboard, right? So you're playing his pre-sideboard versus your pre-sideboard, which means that he's probably still got the better matchup. Right. The way David executed it, the matchup swung heavily in his favor because I was post sideboard and he was post sideboard in a sense. However, I did not realize it because of the way he executed it. And I thought it was one of the best ways I've seen it executed in League.
Pretty slick.
And I think that, that's something that I'm looking to do with my new sideboard is, not necessarily cut out a color completely, but maybe change my strategy to a person that was like reacting, start putting in 3 drops and 4 drops Celestia cards where my 2 drops used to be when I'm playing against a Dimir player, put in all this dead weight and removal. And then I'm like, all of a sudden I'm taking my time, I'm playing big creatures. And he's like, how am I supposed to deal with this? If you change your strategy and you're in the same colors, you can make a huge impact. And that was like really a strong play of the week.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's the play of the week at the top end of things.
Well, what's at the bottom end of things?
At the bottom end of things, when you're scrapping with the rest of the bums, here's the kind of play of the week that you get. So my play of the week isn't. I don't bring it up because it's a great play. I bring it up because of the exact opposite. It's a play which brings up an ethical dilemma.
Okay.
So what's that? Is that Guildgate that you play it?
The Spire.
Yeah. Basically it's a Rupture Spire.
It's a Rupture Spire, but it's a Gateway Plaza or something like that.
I think it's Gateway Plaza. Yeah. Yeah. So it's the gate that you play it. And you have to pay 1 immediately, or else it goes away. So I was playing against Jules, and all of my stories were all around matches with Jules in this league, apparently. So it's turn 1, plays an island, and then plays the 2/2 blue creature that's when it surveils, it gets bigger. Something Phantasm.
Yeah, a Starbound Phantasm.
Thank you. And so that's his first turn play. He taps the island, plays the Phantasm. Second turn, he drops the gate, and it's tapped as it should be, but instead of paying for it, he taps a blue and he plays a second Phantasm.
And then you force him to sack the land.
Well, that's the thing. Here's the ethical dilemma. He's a new and learning player, and I feel like as one of the organizers of League, I have to be, generous in certain ways. And so I let him take it back because he said, that's obviously not what I meant to do. I thought it was something else or whatever. So I let him take it back, and he beat me that game. Yeah. Because then he played this little sprite that makes all of the Phantasms bigger. So he's attacking with 2 6/6 Phantasms. Yeah. And then I was gone in a few turns. Now, here's the thing. I said, you can do this. I'm going to retain all rights to rub this in online. Yeah. So I go to the League chat and I relate my story. And there's a chorus of outrage, like, why did you let him get away with it? And here I thought maybe that there's a general impression that League is a really casual format where anything goes. And it's not quite the case, right? Like, we are playing for things that matter. Yeah. And you can hold people to their mistakes. And so everyone was like saying, why did you let him get away with that? You should have punished him.
It can be a casual format for friends and coworkers and such. Yeah. However, our league is sponsored by a store. Right. Competitive.
There are prizes.
Yeah. So
things are on the line.
Like, nothing's stopping you from listening to this podcast, going out and organizing your own league with your friends. Yeah. All it takes is minimum 8 friends and a box. Yeah. But in this case, I wouldn't have let it slide. Yeah.
I was a bit too generous. I felt a bit like, because I did feel like it would be really, obviously that would have handicapped him. Yeah. Because
that's pretty much an automatic loss.
He didn't draw into a third land for 4 turns. And, because he had those 2 lands, he was able to play the sprite and then the Phantasm got huge.
It's time walking yourself and dropping a card.
Stone Ring.
Yeah, it's like...
Fucking Stone Ring yourself. I mean...
Yeah, you were very generous. I don't think I would have given it to him. When I sit down at the table with him, I'm always very clear that...
Gotta learn.
You gotta learn.
Gotta learn.
I gotta say, he's gotten better. He's gotten a lot better, and he's with his crazy luck at mana fluctuation.
Yeah.
I often make this set comment. It's like if he learned to play tightly, he'd be he could be an overperformer because people get so unlucky against him. It's unbelievable. I think I'm mana screwed like 15 games in a row against him.
Well, this league we've just been taking beats off each other. I beat him twice. He's beaten me twice. Yeah. We're just tearing strips off each other.
And
we're not doing any there's no
I'm going to say this right now. Like, I watched that game, and I had to walk away because I had headaches from both of you.
You tilted.
So
you tilted just watching.
Yeah.
Imagine how tilted I was.
Did you forget what Deep Freeze does?
No, I know. Look, I know it's a 0-4.
Yeah, that can block.
Yeah, and so I let 1 point of damage through, and at that point you walked away from the table. I know why you walked away.
I was so like, what the hell? Like, Chris, like, you're like, I feel like I really should take this free point of damage.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that maybe I should explain to you on air. I feel like this league, I've already dug my own grave. Yeah. Like,
No, you can't give up, man. You gotta fight it back.
Like I'm playing sloppily, I'm playing loosely, I'm letting people take back things like this.
Yeah, but that's on you.
Because I have this attitude. Yeah. Stinking thinking. But I've got to overcome it. You're right. Yeah. Give me the pep talk again so people can hear.
Went into the game with Jules, and I had the gut. Like, I'm superstitious that I'm going to lose to him because of land screw. And it prevailed. But I still go into that game with a positive attitude and out of a positive attitude because if I don't, like, I'm at the top of the league before I played him. I can't really refuse a challenge. I have to take any game available to me.
You don't have to.
Well, I mean, people are going to, like, come and try and fish me, and like I might not get the best matchup. When someone who's lower down the ladder challenges the top dog, you kind of want to take it. You know, you should try. Yeah. So
not much to lose.
Exactly. So I figured, you know what, I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to go in with a positive attitude in that. You know, I still lost, and I still tilted hard when I did because of the lens. But at the end of the day, you know, the game, he played a fair game of Magic, and against me, he didn't really make many mistakes. Here's the other thing I texted him after because I told him I'm going to tell you how you can improve your gameplay times 100. He didn't read the second text line of Lich.
That you can
pay for life to make it indestructible. Like, that was a handed golden ticket. This guy, you price of fame is Lich, and your answer was, he was just like, okay. It's, exactly. Yeah. Like, this is a card that, you know, I texted him later about this, so I'm giving myself the right to talk about it on air. And like I said, he's a good player, plays right, you know, curves out. He knows how to build a deck.
He's put that Lich in the graveyard more than once for me.
He's put that Lich in the graveyard for no reason.
With that knowledge, I'm just like...
For no reason. You know, like, that card is...
Every time I've been doing it, I've been like, all right.
And he also made the comment, like, at one point he made the comment, and he was like, I'm really glad you didn't capture Sphere my Nightveil Predator. And I was like... You don't understand what hexproof is if you think someone can capture Sphere a Nightveil Predator. I was like...
I just hope some people aren't taking advantage of that, right?
Yeah, but people are. I tried to. You know, I definitely tried to.
Well, no, I mean, like, by capture spearing his...
Oh, no, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so.
I hope that hasn't happened.
Like, no, but I try and take care, like you said, I line up my Ornery Goblins. If he had attacked me with the Lich, it didn't happen, but if it had, I would have blocked and I would have let it die. You know, like, you gotta pay the life or it's not gonna resolve.
Yeah.
But, all that to say... Thumbs up for learning and for being a power player. I think he's going to make
and for you for giving both him and I, coaching today. And here's something I want to bring up. It's a little bit outside of our sphere, but last night I saw a review by the professor of Tolarian Community College, and he was reviewing a book called Mental Mana. And this is a Magic the Gathering strategy book written by a sports psychologist. And
I've never heard of this book.
I hadn't either. And then I went on to Amazon and read their free preview. It's very well written. It's talking about a lot of things that you had brought up just now, saying that, look, only half of the equation is the reps that you put in and the mechanical part of the game. The rest is the attitude that you bring with you. The other 50% is your own attitude, your own state of mind that you bring with you to the tournament or the match. And also how you react to negative developments in game.
Yeah, and I think that's particularly the Caos League, because we
Recommend that book.
gotta admit ourselves. Let's put a Dave affiliate link for Amazon. Let's make some money off this if we can, and sponsor the podcast.
Yeah.
Now sponsored
Also-
by Mental Matters.
Also, hashtag Tulare Community College. You know,
Yeah,
let the
yeah.
prof know that we listen.
Yeah,
we care.
Credits to where credit is due.
Yeah.
But I just want to say this will be like the final word of the day, I
Sure.
guess, on the attitude thing is, I think I mentioned to me before that, one of the most important things for me is the community in League.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to respect the fact that we're playing in a high variance format.
We are.
You know, one of the things that scares a lot of people away that I've heard the major criticism is, why are we making 60 card decks with 6 packs in the first week? A lot of people like the variance. A lot of people don't.
The people who are used to
like
it love it.
I like it.
I suggested, for
Yeah.
example, and
No worries.
we'll come back to your story, but I had suggested starting off the next league, Ravnica Allegiance, with a full, fat pack. What do they call it now? They call it something else.
The team packs or what are the booster packs?
Yeah,
The
you
box?
start the box full of 10 packs.
Yeah.
They used to call it fat packs. Now they call it some other product title. Anyway, point being, I said this will help you build more powerful decks out of the gate. You'll have a box to store your cards in. It'll only cost a couple dollars more. What do you think? Everybody, universally, was like, thumbs down. I like the janky builds.
Yeah.
I like the first couple of weeks being playing really substandard cards.
Yeah.
And struggling. They like the struggle.
And fighting through it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
coming out and it makes for more epic stories. And I think that's the other thing too, is that, for every guy who has an epic story of, I played Kevin last week and I pulled off one of my craziest experimental Frezzies. I think I went like 10 top cards in my deck.
10 cards deep.
Yeah, 10 cards deep,
Awesome.
And for every story like that, there was a guy on the other side taking the beating. The best part about it is just to enjoy the story and, make a note of it.
Yeah.
Tune your deck. The fun of this format is working on it, working with your friends on it,
Yeah.
and playing through. You don't always make the top 8. I didn't make the top 8 every single time. I've only made it once. So, but,
Well, maybe twice
a
now.
lot of people really enjoy the format for that exact reason. And that's why I say, like, positive attitude and, like, thumbs up. I know Jules is a real positive dude when it comes to playing Magic with a lot of people. So, yeah.
Just keep getting better.
Yeah.
And also keep taking care of each other in this little community that we have going.
Yeah.
And I think that's our sign off.
That's our sign off. So get out there and play some League.
See you next time.